Hello everybody, welcome back to the Soundhole podcast. My name's Ross, as always, and I'm joined today by my good friend and bandmate and longtime musical friend, Jacob Wicks.
Hello, it is me, I am here. Thank you for that intro, that was a very, very apt description of our relationship.
How are you today?
I'm doing all good, man, I'm doing all good. I'm busy musically, as you know, because you're also busy musically in the same project, and you know me well enough to know that I'm the happiest when I'm busy musically, so I'm in a good place.
Me too. Yeah. It's good. We will get into everything that we've been up to recently in our band SUNMACHINE. I mean, might as well get into it now, actually.
Yeah, let's start. Let's pull no punches. Let's start straight in.
I mean, we've literally just now got back from the studio. We've been at Half Ton Studios the last weekend as well. Well, 2 weeks ago we were at Half Ton, and then we did a weekend of recording at mine, and then we went back to Half Ton.
Yep.
And so we've just got back from recording vocals, our good friend Kieran singing his heart out.
He is. He's doing a great job. If you're listening to this, Kieran, we love you.
We love you, buddy. We love you. And you did great today, and no doubt you'll do great tomorrow as well.
Yeah,
we're going straight back.
Yeah, we're mid-recording vocals at the moment, but that is that's the cherry on the cake, and then it's mixing time, because we've done drums, we've done bass, we've done guitar, and we tackled drums in in a way that we've slightly differently, but in a way that you and I at least have kind of always done it, which is a nice sounding room, mic'd up kit with a real drummer playing.
Yeah. It's always so nice taking our demos that we do to the studio and just kind of replacing the scratch tracks one by one. So
But that's a new thing for me. I don't know about you. I've never been in a band before where we've done demos and demos where we've actually tried to play well. They're not that sloppy demos. They're we're really trying on them, and then used them to record the final things too.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the demos do sound of pretty good quality, but it's more just for self-inspiration, because it gets you psyched up. It gives you a good idea of what the finished song could be like, and sometimes it's actually super weird and almost slightly disappointing at first to go from these quite polished demos to all of a sudden it's it's the final song, but it's all these really dull sounding raw recordings, and it's cool, I need to do the mixing now, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess for me, I know definitely for me, and I think for Kieran, because he's talked about it, having an actual demo that you can listen to has made it easier for us to listen back and change parts that we wanted to, really hone in on our parts. And like I said, I've never done that in any project I've been in the past, and I'm really glad. I don't know why we started doing that, as in we started doing that from day one.
Yeah, I think systematically it just kind of became a really good sort of framework to work within, because it does give you time to really sit with the song for a bit, because your best ideas do usually happen within an hour, right? I mean, it doesn't normally take longer than an hour to write not necessarily a whole song, but just an idea that you really like. Most of those ideas that stay with you happen pretty quickly, but even then it's nice to sit with the song and kind of take it for a test drive, perform it as is, listen to it as is, and then think, okay, if I was going to do this all from scratch, which I am, but of a much higher standard, how would I do it differently? And it means that the finished product has already gone through that filter.
Yeah, I am surprised that just because we'd never done it before, and I'd never done it before, that we just started doing it we didn't even talk about it. We just started doing demos and discovered that really worked for us, having never done demos before, in terms of, properly demoing a song so the song is full and done, and then living with it, listening to it, playing it live, and then recording it properly. But I'm very grateful of that now, because it's not giving away too much, but the two songs we're recording currently, I know lots of my parts at least have been kind of poured over by me and slightly edited and tweaked since the demo, which I've been very glad that I've had the demo to listen back to.
Yeah, yeah. Because even if no one else is hearing it, it's more just for you, so that you can listen to it amongst normal music that you listen to and see how it fits and what could be better next time, and then what happens next time is the finished thing.
Exactly. And I'm very grateful for also the different way in which we did guitar for me, and also bass this time, which was a lot more of, I would describe it as a digital and, dare I say, modern way of doing it.
I mean, maybe we should talk about things from the top, because we kind of just dived straight into what we were just up to. But just I guess as a kind of quick recap. So our band SUNMACHINE, we wrote, recorded and released our first album, The Nova Effect, last year.
Which was 2023.
That was 2023,
oh, God.
Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, you and Kieran had already written much of the material before I joined, but then we wrote a bunch of new songs together. We performed them, and then we just kind of went straight into the studio. And after demoing the songs, like we just described, we went straight into the studio and we recorded most of the songs live, apart from the vocals and the synthesizers. We talked about that at great length on the last SUNMACHINE episode that we did with Kieran.
Yeah, it was the core of it. The core of it was live, and while we're all really happy with how it turned out, it was definitely we definitely decided to take a different path this time. To just because we are still a new band, and as much as bringing out an album is quite a statement, it and obviously it'll still sound like us, so the core of it will still sound the same. The way in which we record will probably, I imagine, change in some way each time we record, probably, and whether it be in a big or small way, just because you got to try and find the way that works best, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the production of a song should just help communicate what the song is as a tangible concept. So it almost made sense to record the way we did for the album, just given how the songs were. It's really nice to listen to the album and just hear a band in a room, and that was us at the time. But this time we've taken a much more sort of modern approach, and we've recorded basically everything in isolation, which has been a really nice way to go about it. So we've a couple of weeks ago we were at Half Ton Studios and we recorded all the drums with Ethan, who's the drummer. He's a fucking legend.
He is.
I'm sure he'll be on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely come and talk about drums. He loves talking about drums.
He does. He's very knowledgeable about drums.
He's
impressive.
It's definitely his lifestyle.
Yeah,
I would say it's not just an instrument. He does live it all.
He lives by the drum. He loves to hit stuff, kick stuff.
That's what he does.
He's a drummer boy,
and he is good at it.
He's extremely good at it.
But yeah, we went into Half Ton and we did the drums in isolation. Only recorded drums to the demo. But I guess you'd be better to talk about how we mic'd it up, because I just saw you put mics places. It's not really my thing.
Yeah, I guess recording wise, we just kind of went with the cleanest sort of close mic sound possible. 2 mics on pretty much everything. Well, all the shells at least. So top and bottom mic on all the toms. On the snare drum and in the kick, you've got the kick in, kick out mic, XY pair of overheads. This is probably very boring for anyone who isn't really invested in recording, but and then I did a spaced pair of ribbon microphones facing the floor, of course, because then it doesn't pick up the direct sound from the drums. It kind of just picks up the reflections, which causes less interference. So the sound of the room is isolated in the room mics.
Yeah, I'm learning here as well. This is definitely not an area of which I have knowledge.
Well, we all learn together.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I definitely pick up a few things every time we go into the studio.
And then I did the good old mid-side room mic technique on the drums. That was awesome, actually. At first I was gonna see which one I preferred and only have one sort of pair of the room mics, because we're recording 2 songs, may I say?
I've already said it. So
Yes, we're in the studio recording 2 songs right now, and I thought maybe for one song I'll prefer the mid-side, maybe for one song I'll prefer this space ribbon pair for the room, but I actually ended up using them both throughout so far. And I think it sounds really good. And there was some sort of like phase cancellation between the room mics going on, but what I did was delay the mid-side room mics by something like 15 milliseconds, which puts them just outside of the range where there would be frequency cancellation in the audible range.
It's definitely
And
sounding
also,
massive.
It does, but it's also not too long that it sounds like a distinct echo. So 15 milliseconds, it's just really not that long. It just kind of gets it out of the way of the other microphones. And having them in there together, it just sounds, it sounds great. It's easily the best drum sound I've ever personally recorded. It sounds very three-dimensional. Because we talked at great length about like the sound that we wanted for these songs. You know, we wanted it to sound modern and clean and sleek and shiny and all that, but for me personally, as a recording engineer, if I'm recording an instrument, I do want it to sound like it's in a real space. So I still wanted to retain that element, but then having these really close, clean, close microphones as well, just kind of really gives you all the options you want in the mix. So you don't want too many options either.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, from what I've heard, very happy with the sound of the drum. Bear in mind, I've only heard them pretty raw. I know you've leveled out a few things, but they're obviously not mixed, but they do sound very, very promising, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing them with, you know, everything else in the mix.
I haven't started mixing the songs yet, because over time I kind of just learnt that there's no point beginning the mix really until you have all the elements there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do stem mixing. That's fine. Obviously, there's specific use cases, and maybe you just enjoy mixing as you go along. That's fine too. But for me, it's like, if I like suddenly have to fit vocals into this mix, I'm gonna have to go back and change so much stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then last weekend we did guitars. We did guitars here. Now, this is going to be an interesting debate because we have changed our guitar recording setup quite a bit from last time.
Yes.
Last time we were miking up real amps. It was just the rhythm guitar was just a mono track, but then we had a stereo pair of amplifiers. What was it? It was like an orange amp.
Last time we had, so for the album we used my EVH 5150 Mark III, and we with 6L6s in, and we also used my PV Invective.
Damn, you just reeled that off like it was nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a collector, so it's in my mind, and you know,
fair play.
Even though we went in a different direction this time, you know, it hasn't changed. You know, I've not got rid of any of my stuff, so you know, to dive into controversy, this time we have gone completely digital in terms of guitar and bass, and for the guitars, we solely used my Neural DSP Quad Cortex, which is what I use exclusively live now, just simply because it is so good. And I say that as someone who has previously owned a Helix and a Kemper. I've never owned an Axe-Fx, to be fair, so I can't speak on that. But having owned and gigged with a Helix, a Line 6 Helix, and a Kemper, the Quad Cortex is an absolutely astonishing piece of gear, and I honestly, I still have all my amps, and I will never get rid of them, and I love them, and I will get them out when I can, but it's a phenomenal piece of equipment. And
it is. I mean, I'll take your word for it, because I know last time we were both quite adamant about using real gear, which is still an approach I love.
We might do in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you own a great bit of kit and you can mic it up nicely and get a great sound from it, why not, right? But as soon as you was telling me about not the Axe-Fx, the
Quad Cortex.
The Quad Cortex. Sorry, as soon as you was telling me about the Quad Cortex, I knew there must have been something special about it. Because I mean, we've anyone who plays guitar and bass, we've all heard examples of Neural DSP stuff, and it's always just impressive, right? But the Quad Cortex is really something else.
Yeah, I mean, I was adamant for years. I have lots of friends that have internationally toured Kempers with, supporting massive, headline arena acts. And I have friends that have used Axe-Fx and Helixes and absolutely love them. And I bought a Kemper and I tried it, and I gave it a chance, used it at lots of rehearsals and used it at shows, and it just didn't quite, I can't explain why, it just didn't quite feel like the real thing. And I did the same with the Helix, and this isn't me, you know, not giving them a chance. I kept them for a decent amount of time. I used them a lot of rehearsals, a lot of writing, and a lot of shows. But they just didn't feel like the real thing. So I was always adamant, like saying, like, it's just not for me. It's always going to be a real amp. I'm always going to be, you know, an EVH or an Orange plugged into a cabinet with Celestion Vintage 30s in. That's always how I'm going to be. And when I bought the Quad Cortex, it was genuinely with the expectation that I would be returning it. The downside of that being that I expected to return it and get my money back. But
yeah, because it's not the cheapest.
It's not the cheapest bit. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than some amps I own, but it's not a cheap piece of gear. But the thing is, the first thing I did naturally, because one of the stock presets, one of the stock amps in it is an EVH 5150 Mark III with 6L6s, and you can put it through a cab sim of a 212 Celestion Vintage 30 loaded cab. So I got the Quad Cortex and I got my real EVH 5150 Mark III 6L6 with my real 212 Vintage 30 loaded cab. And obviously everything sounds a bit different, but I was seeing if, it sounded real. And I was like, I'm going to do this, and this is going to be the final nail in the coffin. I'm going to shoot it out against some amps I own, like, the EVH 5150 Mark III, the Victory Kraken, the PV Invective, whatever. And I couldn't tell the difference. I could not tell the difference. Obviously, there's a slight difference in terms of, like, not every amp, not even amps of the exact same model don't sound the exact same. Cabs of the exact same size with the exact same speakers and don't sound exactly the same. But I could not tell the difference, and it felt real. And honestly, I haven't looked back, and the final test after using it so many rehearsals and so many gigs was to use it in a recording process, and I'm floored. I'm absolutely floored. I'm so happy with the sound we got.
Nice,
and it was enjoyable to use. And as someone who was very much quite outspoken in the fact that, like, no, I'm a tube guy, I'm an analog guy, I don't even like solid state amps, like I'm all in with real, real amps. I'm happy to be absolutely proven wrong, because I've learned something really valuable, which is it's great when life reminds you sometimes that remember, you can be wrong.
Yeah, I guess it also kind of reminds you that everything is quantifiable and you can simulate anything, and nothing's real.
I don't know what they're doing over there at Neural DSP.
They're doing fucking digital wizardry. They've cracked the code. They've spoken to God, and they understand how fucking physics works.
Well, their tagline is algorithmically perfect.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, it really is. I play a guitar that I've owned for years, through an amp I've owned for years, through a cab I've owned for years, and then plug the same guitar into the Quad Cortex, and I can't tell a difference. And that's not me saying that there is a difference, because I know some people will be able to tell the difference, or maybe, even not in a bad way, just say, I can hear a difference, which is fine. But it really is, like, all I care about is me feeling like it sounded good, and me feeling like I'm playing a guitar into an amp. And I 100% feel like that.
Yeah, it like everything that I've heard from it, and everything that I've used it for, because we used it as part of the bass recording. Everything I've heard from it is very it's beyond believable. It's enjoyable. It's very it's flattering almost. I think that's the thing. I think if more people played through them, then maybe more people would be accepting of it. Because bearing in mind everything they've captured in there is very respectful of the gear by being such a good representation of it, right? And it makes these things so much more accessible and usable. You can take that thing anywhere, and you can trigger it to load whatever settings that you want.
Yep. The final thing for me, really, when I was like, oh, okay, this is not leaving me was when, so for one of the tracks we're recording currently, for a solo tone, I used a amp sound of a Mesa Boogie JP2C, which is the John Petrucci signature amp. And having heard that amp a lot, obviously I don't know that amp as well as I know amps I own, but the thing that I've always loved about it and always thought I would really like that actual amp is that the bass, middle and treble is very much just a kind of tonal thing, and then there's I think it's an 8-band EQ, so you can dial out the bass on the actual bass knob and then dial it back in on the 8-band EQ and have the bass response be really, really tight. And the Quad Cortex mimicked that really well. I mean, if it's not doing it exactly the same, it's doing it very, very, very closely. And seeing as that amp is thousands and thousands of pounds, I would still like to own one because I'm still a guitar and amp. I'm still a guitar and amp collector. Yeah, I will never not be. But that was a real moment for me when I was like, okay, this is insane.
Yeah, this is substantial enough in quality.
Yeah, and I mean, aside from that, rocking up to a venue with a 112, a guitar on my back, and a pedal board, and just having the Quad Cortex running, one lead out of it going to front of house, and the other lead running to the 112 on stage, because I have to have some sound on stage. But just having that small, easy, portable rig for SUNMACHINE shows, rather than having, a heavy EVH head, a 212 cab in a hard case, a guitar on my back, and I wouldn't say massive pedal board, but a medium-sized pedal board with, upwards of 8 pedals on it, and then a pedal switcher. It's made its functionality in that way. Now that I'm content with the sound, that I'm content there's no problem with the sound, it's made gigs so much easier, and I've had noticeable feedback from sound guys who said that it just makes their life so much easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, there's like, beyond the quality of the fucking thing, there's also 2 massive social benefits that you've seen from this, and one of them is sound guys love you. Yeah, but you just immediately bond with these people over saving them a solid 15 minutes of their lives at least.
Yeah.
It's because they just like plug it in and they're like, fuck yes. And then the other thing is, because when people in the audience, they see your pedal board, they after you finish playing, they come up to you and they're like asking you about all this stuff. With you, they just say, oh, it's a Quad Cortex, so you don't have to deal with any fucking pedal nerds.
Well, I don't mind that. I mean, I do get a lot of questions about the PRSs. That's true. That's something that I do. Yeah. And that's always been more than the pedal thing, so I don't mind that. And I still love pedals, and I still have my big board. But yeah, no, sound guys, I mean, when you think about it, you're the 4th band they've sound checked. Saving them a solid 15 minutes means a lot to them. But also, if it hasn't been made obvious enough, SUNMACHINE is not an arena touring act. We are playing.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Fingers crossed. We are playing small to medium-sized clubs, and sometimes playing kind of theatre-sized places, and that's on a really good day. So making life easier for the people at the venues, and being obviously, we'll be courteous and polite, and we put our all into the show, and we bring people, and make sure to promote the shows, but also making people's lives easier in terms of not having these huge road cases knocking about, and making the sound guys easier. It does help us to be invited back to these places, and that is something that we have to really be focused on.
They remember you as a convenient thing to deal with, or like at least not stressful, right?
Exactly.
Because you also bring in something of substantial quality. You're not like replacing it with some junk.
Yeah, no, and
it sounds great.
And that is the thing, because honestly, if there's 4 bands playing one night, and musically they all sound great, but 3 of them are a bit of a pain in the arse, and one of them is just...
Yeah, the third one's like, oh, I know I have to use my Marshall, and it's this fucking massive thing.
But
and
even
they
if...
have to just take all this stuff off stage, put...
Exactly.
And then, and then they take it all back off again.
Yeah, and even if... or they're not polite or whatever, then you'll be the band that gets asked back, and that is the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, no names attached to this, but like, yeah, dealing with like RC guitarists over amp stuff as a sound engineer. Not you.
No.
But it's Jacob Wicks.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, no, dealing with that, it's not the best clientele. We'll say it's never the best like interaction you have that evening. It's usually stuff about like, oh no, the amp has to be like so and so loud, otherwise I can't do the cool fucking feedback thing at the end of every single song.
I have a foot in 2 camps, because one, I'm a realist, and yeah, the sound guy is asking you to turn down for a reason, so I always do. I've never been the person that's like, oh yeah, turn it down, and then when they've turned away, turn it back up. I've never been like that. But also, obviously, with valve amps, there is a very noted thing about turning it up. It does something, it's tube driven amp, it does.
Oh, of course, yeah, you push it into this further saturation.
Exactly.
It's part of it.
It really is a thing for guitar players. And I mean, I've been guilty of it. I guess I do count myself lucky, as in I've been gigging and touring and recording and all of that for about 12 years now. And there was quite a few years, but luckily I was young enough where they kind of, I think they excused me as the kind of stupid kid, where I was like, no man, I need to have that 412, I need to have it, like no, seriously, oh no, if the volume's below, 6 on my 100-watt amp, I definitely was that dickhead sometimes, but
trust me, Mr. Sound Engineer, I know what
I don't care if you can't hear the drums don't fucking matter. Like,
it's a rock band, dude. The drum, yeah.
I definitely was that person, but luckily I think that's the perk of starting younger, where they go, oh well, he's 16, but he doesn't know, but like, so it's made it to the point now where I'm like in my mid-20s, and I kind of got that out of my system.
Yeah, because you do definitely get excused less, because when someone's in their 30s and acting that way, it's just like, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a band,
if it's like a 32-year-old man and he's like acting that way, you just can't really excuse it. But when you're a kid, it's fine.
I mean, if you're a band on a tour and you're not the headliner, get up there, get the sound right, sound check, and get the fuck off. You are not the important one. You have to, like, there's no space for being a drama queen, or being like, I feel like I'm Slash today.
Yeah,
like,
you got to just be the easiest person to deal with. You got to make that your mission.
That really is, I think, personally, the key to quote unquote success in music, or success, or if not success, then being able to be busy in music, because you get asked to do stuff. Just be easy to deal with. Like, I'm not saying take any shit. Like, if you're fighting to get your band gigs and stuff, like, be polite, but be a hard ass. But like, yeah, if when you're there, if you fought for the gig, you're easy to deal with, and you put on a good show and you give it all and you sound good and you rehearsed, all that kind of stuff, you'll get asked back, and then you won't have to fight so hard to get the gig there next time. It really is.
Yeah, it pays off. It pays to be polite.
Yes, but we've strayed from the path of digital versus analog here. So
reining things back.
Yeah, what would you? So Ross, what was your rig for recording bass for these latest SUNMACHINE recordings?
Well, we did a couple of things simultaneously. So I recently purchased the another neural DSP product. It's a plugin called Parallax. I'm sure many of you will have heard of it. It's a kind of all-in-one bass distortion solution. It does the whole low-end compression and then mid and high overdrive thing, that whole meme. But it does it in a really nice, intuitive way. It's very versatile, but I guess I did kind of find, and this isn't a criticism, like, whilst it was very versatile, it kind of does just do that one thing in a way.
Neural DSP is not a sponsor of Sun Machine, and won't be now.
Hey, this is we can openly talk about stuff we've used. I love the parallax. It's like it's bass distortion. It's bass distortion. It's like the best bass distortion pedal combined with amplifier effect thing that you could ever want. But there was something else that I wanted from the bass tone for these two songs, so we paired that with the Quad Cortex. So we have those. We had them both running simultaneously. I had a nice. So for both songs, I had a patch on the parallax that I enjoyed as the kind of distortion element, and then we used another amp sound. You
ended up with an Ampeg.
Yes, yeah, it was an Ampeg on both songs, I believe.
Yeah, no, you used the same for both songs. But yeah, you ended up with a. Yeah. I forget which one specifically, but yeah, you had just a clean Ampeg tone.
Yeah, so that paired with the parallax as the distortion element, pairing that with a really nice clean amp sound from the Quad Cortex, it really worked a dream, and I am genuinely excited for people to hear it. I haven't been this excited about people hearing like just the tone of my instrument for a long time.
But it is worth noting, and I am vying for the Neural DSP endorsement with this. We did put a pedal in front of the Quad Cortex, did we not?
We did. Oh yeah, we used my my trusty what's it called? Boss BB1X.
Yeah,
driver.
and it did take pedal well.
For years.
It did take the pedal well.
Oh, it did. Yeah, and that thing comes out very hot as well. It comes out line level for some reason. But I love that thing. I've had it so long that all the paint's scratched off the front of it.
That's been the core of your bass tone for a long time now.
Yeah, I bought that back in when we had our first band together. Me and Jacob used to be in a band called Meet Me at Dawn, which I've definitely mentioned on every single episode so far. Don't listen to any of the songs.
Oh wow, God!
It's reverse psychology. People
is it? Okay.
People can go through our back catalogue if they want to.
Wow.
But you know, I bought that when we were still in that band. So yeah, I must have had that since I was like 18.
Yeah.
Or so, maybe less, maybe 17.
But so there was a lot of stuff going on for the based sound.
Yeah,
and
one day that's gonna be my live rig, man. I'm gonna have a Quad Cortex like you, and I'm also gonna have a laptop running the parallax. I'm gonna have them both running simultaneously, and I'm gonna look like Skrillex on stage when he's surrounded by that fucking picture of Skrillex with he's just got like laptops, and everyone was saying like, oh, he's just pressing play on a fucking playlist. That's gonna be me, but I'm gonna be holding a bass guitar.
Well, seeing as we have plans,
I'm gonna be known as the Skrillex of bass. That's me.
Well, seeing as we have plans in the not too distant future to tour internationally, you may have to endeavour to get a Quad Cortex or something like that. But that was definitely it definitely all came together in a very satisfactory way. And I mean, I don't really need to break down my guitar rig, because I've kind of talked about it enough already in terms of like, I used an EVH sound which I know very well, and I used a JP2C sound for lead, and all my effects were in the Quad Cortex, and I used a nice twin reverb sound for some clean stuff, and had some phasers and some compressors and some delays and reverbs going on. And obviously me and Ross are both big fans of the PRS, so we were both playing PRS on these tracks, and as much as the purist in me, which really is quite strong, would love to pull me back to being, an analog man, that Quad Cortex is going nowhere. That I am fully convinced now.
You're converted.
I am converted. I have seen the light, and I Neural DSP, call me. Call me.
I will say really quick, that's another maybe underrated aspect of the Quad Cortex, is just the pedal selection. I mean, you can get endlessly creative with all the options.
I mean, bear in mind, I haven't even uploaded stuff onto there yet. It's stock. It's still just stock what it comes with.
Yeah.
So, and that's mental, and I still haven't even finished diving into all the sounds, because I'm not a person that likes tweaking. I find the sound, I dial it in. I'll do a bit of tweaking to make sure it's right, but I haven't nearly dived in through all the different amp and cab sounds, pedal sound, you know, different features it has. So it you know, everything we're talking about, these aren't special captures, which is what they call it, captures of amps that we've, you know, done ourselves or bought. These are stock that came with the Quad Cortex when I bought it.
And all this can be yours if you use code SUNMACHINE.
Oh God, don't do that. do not try to buy a Quad Cortex and use discount code SUNMACHINE. You will be very disappointed. Actually, if you want, do it. You will be very disappointed because it is valued for the discount of 0%.
Yeah, but you know, maybe if enough of you do it, they'll make it a real thing. Will it into existence.
Maybe that would be cool. I mean, I know that.
Should I be saying stuff like that? Probably not. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I mean, we've very clearly told people not to do it, so that's fine. You can joke about that stuff. That's fine. But I mean, I know you and I are big fans of Rabir Massad, who is a very well-known user of the Quad Cortex, and probably, I know they don't do signature Quad Cortexes, but probably the first person that would get one if they ever did do one.
How sick would that be? It's a fucking computer with your name on it.
Yeah, but I know, but they have done that. You can't buy them, but they did them for him. I saw that, like with his logo and stuff. But it wouldn't be any different, because the whole thing about it is that you can have any amp sound, so there's not really much point to his signature. I mean, he has just got, I know this is very much straying from the topic, but he has just got the signature only bull, and I am over the moon for him because I have met him and he is an absolutely lovely man and also insanely talented. So I need to get my hands on that signature guitar.
He is very kind. I met him at TechFest 2017. God, that was a long time ago now. Yeah, that was great. I saw his old band Tosca.
Oh, what a good band.
Oh, Tosca. They were sick. They were amazing.
They were amazing.
I really, really enjoyed that.
Shout out to Tosca and then predating that Dorje.
Yes, yeah. Dorje are a big band for me in terms of getting inspired to do audio stuff.
Man, Centered in One was massive, and so was Aeromancy.
Yeah. Aeromancy's a classic.
It is.
Like growing up playing guitar on the internet, bands like that are yeah. I feel like there's that's a kind of weird subgenre of rock/metal, isn't it? Like sort of internet bands or bands that kind of came up from somewhat of an internet presence, I guess. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're all like performing bands, but you've got like on one end of the spectrum you've got bands like Dorje, because obviously Rob Chapman had a big presence online leading up to Dorje. And then obviously like Periphery, who are always very, very much an online band. Oh god, then, then on the other end of the spectrum, you've also got like Infant Annihilator back in the day, which was a very impressive sort of internet tech death metal band.
Yeah. I mean, Polyphia started online.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, I do...
But because it's weird. Sorry, saying started online makes it sound like it's not real. We just mean like bands by people who were like influential online back in the day.
Rather than the band getting a big and then that grows their social media, it was their social media presence grew and the band grew with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I did see a video not too long ago where it was like someone going like, oh, they were reacting to this thing, and it was like, if you're a guitar player growing up in this certain time period in the UK, and they're like, let's see how many of these bands I know, and Dorje came up and they're like, what's Dorje? What's Dorje? I don't know what that is. And I was just like, you've missed it. You
missed the boat. You don't know shit.
Well, it's still out there. I mean, I still listen to Centered on One, that EP, quite a lot.
It is a cracking EP.
It is a cracking EP.
It was one of their vlogs of the old version of Aeromancy that actually really was one of the things that really sparked my interest in recording and mixing and stuff. It was they were recording Aeromancy and another song that I forget the name of. I think they were just recording it largely in like one of their houses, and it was just like seeing like a professional home recording setup and then like hearing how good it sounded in the end. It was inspiring.
Well,
you can just go and do that. I was going to ask you though, if you could have a signature quad cortex, what embellishments would you give it? I think I'd have a crushed velvet quad cortex.
A crushed velvet.
Oh wait, dude, what about a denim quad cortex? Quadcortex.
Nah, God. Oh God.
How sick would that be? You rock up with the like blue denim quad cortex.
I would go for. I'm a sucker for you know those. Wait, lots of us, but the one that comes to mind is like a Fender Strat, where it's like a custom shop thing, and it's purposefully been like, I don't know, painted tobacco sunburst, and then they've done it like candy apple red over the top, and then reliced it, so you've got like candy apple red, but there's like relicking through the paint, so you can see in certain places the tobacco sunburst underneath it. I'd have that on a quad cortex. It'd be so extra and so over the top, and it would make no difference at all.
Just a relict computer.
Yeah.
That would be sick. Wait, dude. What if it was like an old like Windows 98 computer aesthetic, where it's that weird like beige fucking.
The home screen is that fucking blue sky with that green hill.
Yeah, the Windows XP default background.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like just. Like the chassis is just unnecessarily like 4 times thicker.
Yeah,
It's got a CRT monitor.
Oh yeah, no, I want one.
It doesn't have a touch screen. You have to plug in a you have to plug in a mouse and keyboard, but like it doesn't even have USB inputs. It uses the what is it, PS2 fucking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my final answer would be, it would be exactly the same, except when you were trying to do stuff on the touchscreen, a paperclip would come up and be like, "Do you need help? Can you not find this, this tube screamer? do you need me to locate it for you?
Let me find that for you." And then you try and it just doesn't.
And it's just like, "Did you mean the Echoplex?" Like, no.
What was that motherfucker's name? Clippy
or Clip-on or Strap-on or something, I don't know.
Strap-on.
That might be a different thing I'm thinking of.
Fucking Mr. Paperclip.
Mr. Paperclip. He was definitely balling.
I'd have like a relict quad cortex that was just like had been set on fire. Like it's got a really old version of the firmware on it.
Oh yeah. No, I can't see them doing signature quad cortex, just because I don't think it would really move. I mean, I'd take it if they offered it. I'd much prefer, just because there's more changeable parts. I'd much prefer signature PRS, but that's one for the dream journal.
I want to get like a Neuralink implant that like connects to my quad cortex, so I can like change the tone with my brain.
So funny, I think of ideas and I wake up and they're in Logic.
Yeah. I'm always making beats. I've just got a computer at home with Logic open, and I just control it from my brain remotely.
You listen to what music you made in your sleep, and it's just like you had like a night terror. It's like, ah!
Man, what else were we going to talk about?
What else is on there?
I guess we've basically skipped over the entire vocal recording process, which is what we literally just did. So,
yeah, well, no one listens to vocals.
No, I mean, obviously the guitars are the most interesting bit. The drums are drums. As all guitarists know, drums aren't important.
I only listen to Rack Tom 2.
What?
I only listen to the second Rack Tom.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because Ethan only uses one Rack Tom. Oh, it's an inside joke that no one will get unless they've seen us live or watched the documentary in the future.
Yeah, none of this stuff that we're talking. This episode is coming out in a week, dude. All this stuff that we're talking about isn't coming out for like 6 months at least.
Do you want to listen to a podcast where none of the references land, and it's like it's an in-joke, whole thing's an in-joke that you're not invited to?
We're just two friends catching up. You don't have to. You the rest of you are just here.
Yeah, we're two friends catching up. We see each other a lot every week, but we needed to catch up.
Yeah, there are married couples that see each other less than we do.
Exactly, definitely. I mean, but we should dive into the recording process, because Kieran he has been absolutely killing it, and he's going to do so again tomorrow. But so let me ask you, what is the vocal chain that we are using? What's the
vocal chain? Oh yeah, the vocal chain. We did a quick microphone shootout today. You know, when in Rome.
Yeah.
Houghton Studios is a lovely microphone collection. We tried out, I think it's a fairly new mic. It's the Chandler Limited TGL, I believe it's called. Mm-hmm. It was very nice. It was very flattering.
We did say that might be one we use for screams, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. It's a very nice microphone. It wasn't quite well. We didn't pick it over the other microphones. Not a bad reflection of the microphone itself. It's just, you know, you got to see what sounds best for the singer, for the room, for the song itself.
We might use it for the scream parts. We don't know yet.
I mean, we compared it against a Neumann U87, and which we did end up using, and we ended up pairing it with a I forget the brand name. I think it was a Golden Age made microphone, I believe. It was called a U47. It's a valve condenser. It's lovely. So yeah, we had the valve condenser just going straight into the desk, and then we were also using the U87, which was going through a really nice Neve preamp. And we were using them both simultaneously for every vocal take. They're both lovely microphones, and both slightly different qualities, and having the slightly driven sound, not a tiny bit saturated sound from the Neve preamp on the U87 as well. It ended up just being a really nice blend, especially for Kieran's voice, because Kieran has a really like defined mid-range to his voice, but then also has a lot of high-end detail, and just the combination of those mics together really captured his full range, which was really nice.
I've been made very aware.
And then obviously, you know, he fucking stood in front of the microphones and sung, and no one cares about that. People only care about gear.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I mean, I've been made very aware over the last couple of years how I really appreciate the fact that Kieran has a way of singing and a vocal tone which is different to a lot of singers, and I like that.
His voice sits really nicely in the mix as well. I think the way we blend together is quite nice, because I do usually have quite a scoopy bass tone, not too much, but then you have a lot of mid-range in the guitar. I'm saying a lot, we just mean it's like on 6 instead of
yeah. I mean, but you and I mean, we've
or like +1. You know
yeah, we've been told a lot that like our bass and guitar tone complements, and that's not really out of any skill on our part. It's just because we've been playing with each other for so long. So like the guitar tone I have, that if I was just playing by myself, is different to the guitar tone I have in SUNMACHINE, because I adjust it in certain ways so that when the bass needs to, because you know we only have one guitar player and the bass is very active, because you know you're a great bass player and you play more intricate parts. I've specifically made a guitar tone that means I can get out of your way when I need to, and we can kind of chop it, we can kind of push and pull each other's tone as we need to when the other person is needs to be at the forefront. And I think to a certain extent Kieran's, you know, because we've known Kieran for a very long time as well, I've been playing with him for a very long time, I think to a certain extent his voice has evolved, because obviously he's put a lot of work in and become, you know, he was a good singer when we met him, but he's become, you know, he's evolved into a completely different animal with a lot of different skills, and I think his voice has also evolved to work with our guitar and bass tone.
Yeah, I mean, because you and me spent the first few years of our musical lives constantly turning up over each other, you know, and then over time our tones actually melded into one.
Oh yeah, no, the first couple of years I was like, I'm not sure about this bass player thing, man. I'm not, you know, it's not. I like, who's that other dude over there? Because you know, but it was. I'm joking. But
he's playing guitar, but it's boring. It's not.
It's kind of like it's like whiny. It's like a whiny guitar. No, it definitely wasn't something that happened overnight. As in, there was definitely quite a few years where our guitar tones sat okay to our guitar and bass tones sat okay together, but definitely not all the time and not as well. But I think that it literally just is time and just hours We definitely got our 10,000 hours playing together in.
Shit, yeah, you know what? I used to think 10,000 hours sounded like a ridiculously long time, but to be fair, I probably have. Wait, let's tally this up. I mean, if you're doing something 10 hours a day, then that's...
I'm not good at maths.
3,650 hours in a year. And so you do that, like, it's like 10 hours every single day for 3 years. But then obviously I haven't been doing that because, you know, you don't do it literally every single day.
Yeah. But over the last...
You do it eventually. We've been doing this for like 10 years now.
Yeah, yeah, but like it's almost 11. So I definitely think over the last 11 years we've got our 10,000 hours of playing together.
Yeah. See, now you guys have heard why I'm an audio engineer instead of a real engineer, because my mental maths just there was phenomenal.
And now you know why I'm neither, because fuck that, man.
Maths is fucking lame, dude.
Dude, I was not good in school.
Nah, maths is actually great. I just like any maths that I've done was in like MacLeod, which is basically the world's biggest programmable calculator. So you don't actually have to really think about it that much. So it's like, you know, when we were at school and all the teachers were like, you're not going to have calculators in your pockets, you know, and now not only do we have calculators in our pockets, we have a device that controls our entire lives in our pockets.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're getting into deep territory there. That's and I do love a deep conversation, but I do not like maths, and I think I've done less maths in my life than most people alive today.
How so?
And I'm proud of that.
How so?
Well, I just didn't do it. I didn't at secondary school. I just had no interest in it, and then sixth form didn't do it. I mean, I can, you know, add, subtract, divide, and I don't struggle in life at all. But I have no interest at maths, man. Oh my god, it's just the opposite of what I love about being alive.
We're gonna be we're such a good influence to anybody who ought to be doing their fucking homework right now.
If you're listening if you're listening to this and you should be doing your maths homework, do your maths homework, right? Just do it, because if you're doing maths homework, it's because you're not yet at the point in your life where popular society has said that you are old enough to decide what you do for yourself. If you love doing maths and you're listening to this, do what you fucking love. Do your maths. Enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy it. But if you don't like doing maths, do your maths homework, and then the moment you don't need to do maths anymore, just don't fucking do it. You have a very, very short period of time on this planet, a blink of an eye, in fact. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Anything. You don't have to.
Yeah, as long as you kind of I don't know, there's a balance there though, because when I was at school, I just kind of did, no offense to anyone interested in these topics, but I did kind of do not the most studious topics, I guess. I did film, media, and ICT, and film was probably the one I enjoyed the most and got the most out of in terms of education. Media fucking sucked. ICT was lame in the lamest way possible. It was just, I don't know, I didn't feel like pushing myself very hard, I guess, and I got very bored very quickly in sixth form and scraped together enough UCAS points to get into studying audio engineering at university, and then found myself doing maths and physics and all this stuff that I didn't think I enjoyed when I was like 15, but actually come to find was very, very interesting to me. So, you know, obviously, if you just genuinely don't find something interesting, you don't have to make it a huge part of your life. But also, maybe it's only not interesting because you don't understand it fully yet. So maybe it's worth learning about these things.
That was a much more well-rounded way of saying that. I mean, but I don't ever plan on breeding, and if for some reason breeding, as you know, babies and shit.
I understand having kids,
breeding, it's the same.
You have to put it into clinical terms, so it seems far away.
Exactly. I don't ever plan on breeding, and if I can influence your life enough that you like maths, and me saying I hate maths will change it, you need to have more of your own mind. I can say these things and it's fine. It's not hurting anyone. So I don't do anything you don't want to do. I don't. I do things that I want to do, and some of those things are bloody hard work, but I still love doing them. But yeah, don't do anything you want to do, and be bloody glad that you don't know me in real life. Oh, good PR for Submachine. This is a great idea, Ross. Well done.
I mean, you got to like know the rules to bend them right. You can't like launder money without knowing stuff about economics. You know.
I mean, don't do illegal things. This is the thing. I don't do illegal.
You can steal stuff. Submachine endorses stealing stuff.
No, we don't.
You guys think I paid for Parallax?
No, we don't. See, so this is the thing.
I paid for Parallax. I paid 50 quid.
Good.
Parallax.
I sounded like the unreasonable, out of control, and then you've just flipped it. So everything I was saying, like, I wasn't endorsing if doing what you love is hurting people or doing illegal stuff. Don't do that. I don't endorse that. I don't do anything criminal. But if doing what you love is gaming or, you know, nature, you know, wildlife conservation or maths or driving or art or music or reviewing films or anything, do it, but not if it's illegal. That was the most adult thing I've ever said in my life.
There's some like fringe illegal stuff that is very interesting though. I'm being serious this time around, right? So when I was like 20, I went through this weird phase.
Oh God.
Where I didn't do this. I went through this weird phase of like binge watching these YouTube videos made by people who would like essentially they'd like hide in various establishments overnight and like vlog the process. And
I've seen those, yeah.
It was so good. It was like this weird subgenre of videos on YouTube for a minute, and there was this dude, and he'd hide on buses and that, and then see how long it would take for the people at the bus station to find him. There was this dude who he hid overnight in a Sainsbury's by like pulling out all the like rolls of toilet paper from the bottom shelf and like sitting behind them. He made himself a little like pillow fort out of the toilet paper packets, or like not packets, the rolls. Yeah. And like he hid there overnight, and it sounds like it would be boring, but it was actually pretty interesting.
Well, I guess they're not hurting anyone.
No.
So that's fine. I more meant like don't sell drugs or stab people.
Yeah, but dude, it's so fucking great. Like when they do get found and then do get confronted, it was always like exhilarating. Like, is he gonna be found? And then when they do find them, it's always like, because they're still filming it, and you kind of like see it from the like security guard or like the corporate employees who come there at night or whatever. From their perspective, like some person has just appeared out of the shelves, and now it's like, okay, I guess we're calling the police now. Is this a threat? It's so funny.
I mean,
it's so funny because it's like this weird liminal world that you never see as someone that like doesn't have to go into a Sainsbury's at 1 a.m.
No, I mean that. Yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, man. If that's your thing, do you. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot lighter than what I expected when you said like, oh, some illegal stuff is fun.
No, I mean like really, really, really borderline stuff like that is. I'm gonna edit this stuff down. Don't worry. All the stuttering and stupid shit that I've said will be. It's better to be stream of consciousness.
I hope the thing about me not breeding is kept in, because I want that in.
It's a funny bit.
Stuff. It's not a bit. I don't want to breed. I don't want kids. Like seriously, like. There is nothing in this world I would rather do. Even everything I hate, I would rather do all of those things rather than have to put up with babies and kids.
Oh, babies are great.
No, like
kids suck. Babies
and kids, great. Like when friends of mine are like, oh, hold my baby, or this is my kid, like it's great. But like after 5 minutes, I'm like, fuck, I'm glad that you're going. And that I don't, and that I can give you back. Like, oh, this baby's very cute. Yeah, it's very cute. I'm so happy for the people that have had the baby and the kid and want that, great. But I couldn't imagine anything worse for myself. Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
I have no idea whether I want kids one day. It is weird being like past the age that your parents were when they had you though. That's That's a weird place to be in.
Well, you can have
At your
kids,
life.
you can have kids as long as you as late as you want. Robert De Niro just became a father again at like 70 or something. God, this has gone off the rails.
That still works. That's crazy.
He's
Anything's possible, man.
yeah.
What else did we put on our agenda of things to talk about? I guess we should probably round off talking about what we're literally doing right now.
Still not covered the first.
Yeah, we're
stuff
recording. We're recording 2 songs. We've recorded the drums. We recorded the guitars. Recorded the bass, and then we're halfway through recording the vocals.
Yes.
And I'm gonna record some. Can I say I'm gonna record some piano?
Yeah, you can say
I'm
that.
gonna record some piano of myself. So I guess one of you guys will be recording it actually, as in hitting record, and then I'll be because.
I'll be more than happy to do that. I have enough experience in a DAW to hit record for you.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. As long as it's
so
like
that's
Logic where you just press R.
Yeah, well, it's Pro Tools. It's scary old Pro Tools.
I have no experience with Pro. This is gonna be quite funny.
Pro Tools is great. I haven't used it as much as I'd have liked to, so I don't know all the fucking magician keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah.
But I'm learning. What else were we gonna talk about? Our dream studio. That's something that we wrote.
Okay, so the backstory to this, just because it's not much backstory, is that Ross and I have long said that probably in our late 30s, early 40s, we'd like to go halves on a studio together, a proper recording studio where we record SUNMACHINE but also record other bands. And by we, I mean Ross will record them and I'll be there.
We'll both be recording. It'll be a fun time.
So, firstly, what would the studio be called? And you can't say SUNMACHINE Studios because that's boring.
What's the opposite of SUNMACHINE? Like Moontree.
Moontree Studios. That's not bad.
Moontree is Moontree. It kind of feels weird to say.
Moontree.
Moonman Studios.
Milkman Studios. Milkman Studios. So at Milkman Studios, what does it look like?
Milk. Okay, fine. Fuck, we have to call it Milkman now, because we're gonna end up doing that. If we do this, we're gonna end up doing that just for the sake of the in-joke. But it'll just be because you randomly said Milkman Studios.
Hey, you know what? It's as good as any name.
Okay, fine. Milkman Studios.
Yeah.
Fine. Whatever. Fuck it. That's cool. We're committing to that now. What would be in it?
What would it look like? What would the rooms be like? What gear would we want?
I'd want a dead live room and a very lively live room. I want both of those rooms big enough to record a full band in.
I would like
separately.
One of the rooms to definitely be big enough to record a medium-sized orchestra.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty big, but we can do that.
Yeah.
We can. I'm saying this like we have the money.
Hey, you never know. We've got to plan for these things, dude.
Yeah, I feel like that way. I mean, for me, if I was recording there, having the choice between wanting really like dry recordings and more natural sounding recordings would be great. And then gear wise, I don't feel like I know enough yet. I mean, pro mixing desks that I have used have mostly been Audient desks. I used one at uni a lot, and then they've got an Audient desk at Half Ton, and they're lovely. They're lovely desks.
I would like a tape machine.
Yeah. Being able to properly record to tape is something I'd love to do one day.
Especially now it's got a bit. It's got a bit cheaper.
It's more sort of in vogue now. All the cool bands record to
like
tape.
vinyl. It's kind of made a comeback.
Yeah.
I would like, because I like to collect amps and guitars, I would like there to be like a good selection, like a dozen amps and matching cabs that are there to be used by anyone,
Yeah. Having like a good sort of a stock of foolproof instruments and amps for people to use would, like you said, would be really nice.
Well, I mean, guitars are really personal, as in, so I wouldn't mind about not supplying guitars, but like amps, it's very much just plug in, dial in. So I think, having like some good classic amps, and by classic I don't mean like classic rock amps, but I mean like, some amps that are good for classic clean sounds, classic crunch sounds, dirty sounds, some classic modern amps like PV Invective or what's it called? The Grainifier, I forget who it's by. But yeah, some like modern amps you know, I think it'd be good to have that amp selection's already about 30 grand.
Yeah, you've already blown our budget on amps.
We don't know what the budget is. It's fine. It's fine. A good pedal selection as well.
Yeah, that's nice. Like creative tools to offer people.
Yeah, I'd like it to have some kind of tabletop effects as well, like an Echoplex and stuff like that, and you know, good outboard gear.
Yeah.
I personally would like it to run off Mac, but I know you're not a big Apple.
No.
Just
being dead honest. No, I do not like. I don't like Mac computers. I like Windows.
That's fine. It's just because I've always
person.
used Mac and I like them. But that can be up for debate. I would.
Of course, yeah. I mean, being able to use Logic is a huge plus. Logic Pro is great.
Yeah.
To be fair, that is a massive plus for Macs. I mean, you know what? If it was purpose built for being in the studio, I'd have a Mac. Yeah, because then we could have Logic and Pro Tools.
They never auto update in the middle of trying to do something really important like Windows do sometimes.
That is true.
But I wouldn't mind if it was Windows. I would, thinking room wise, I would like the control room to be big enough where we could fit 2 decent sized sofas in, because a lot of small to medium sized recording studios, they have like a sofa, but they don't ever have enough seating for like a full band. So it's not like, someone has a chair and the rest of them on the sofa. I'd like to have 2 kind of 3-seater sofas at the back, so like a full band, whether it be 3, 4, 5 or 6-piece, 7-piece band, could like sit down and be comfortable.
I'd want like a functioning bar in the in the control room, and a Burger King.
Now see, I was being 100% serious, and you're taking a piss. Okay, well, I want a Starbucks outlet then.
Yeah, it's got a little food court.
Yeah,
the control room is a little like. It's got like multiple franchises. It's got a WH Smith as well.
What, you need like a notebook?
Yeah, it's got like the control room has all of the facilities of one of those places that you stop at when you're driving somewhere.
Okay.
Service stations.
Yeah. So you got control room, live room 1, dead, live room 2, lively sounding. I'd like a small dedicated room, like those kind of. Then obviously you don't get rooms that size, so it's usually one room that's been turned into like 2 or 3 rooms, where it's like a small room, like a dedicated vocal booth room.
Oh yeah. But a vocal booth that would be like maybe each of the live rooms has its own sort of vocal booth, so that they can kind of, because whenever I've recorded with bands and there's been like a vocal booth, obviously it's great for the recording and mixing side of things, but sticking the singer, who's supposed to be this very like emotive part of the music, and then like isolating them in like their own little room, vibe wise, if the singer's not used to it, can kind of not throw them off a bit, but it can kill the vibe slightly.
But like,
I think the vibes are very important, and that's why we're gonna have a service station in the control room.
I want it to have nice lighting, like we can make it ambient. I would like us to have some form of echo chamber, even if we have like a wired in shipping container out the back that's been like decked out to be like 40-foot one.
Yeah, everyone out there who's making fucking studios out of shipping containers, we made a plate reverb out of a shipping container.
Dude, like James Taylor at his house has a 40-foot shipping container that's just a reverb chamber. That's
sick.
It's fucking awesome. So we could do that. It's gonna have good parking.
Yep, it's gonna have amazing parking.
It's gonna have good parking.
It's gonna have
It'll need a kitchen.
Yeah, it's gonna have a kitchen. It's gonna have a Wagamama's.
I want an In-N-Out burger.
We didn't even have In-N-Out here.
I know, but I always wanted to try it, and I want a Chili's.
Yeah, I don't like Taco Bell personally. It's good value for money, but it's not great, you know.
So we've got like 7 different franchise.
Yeah, but you never know what if you get peckish during a session.
So our like just to keep the lights on cost is now super high, because we've now got like 7 members of staff that just run the different outlet stores.
Yeah.
We've got the electricity cost. We've got like 50 grand's worth of amps. How many thousands of pounds in mics do we have?
I mean, yeah, we'd want like a good repertoire of microphones, all the usual ones, some weird ones, old like Soviet ones that haven't been made for like since like the 80s, shit like that. That would be pretty whatever, old stuff, new stuff, whatever microphones you want. You want to be cool and record everything with just 10 SM57s. You can do that. You want to fucking U87 ribbon microphones. We got matched pairs of C414s. We got unmatched pairs of C414s.
I would like a baby grand piano.
Whatever you want, you know. We were baby grand piano. We've got a grand piano.
A great grand piano.
We've got an upright piano, sideways piano. We've got a piano on the ceiling, which is pretty funny, you know.
It's also scary because
it's very scary.
We put it up there ourselves, and at some point those nails are going to fail.
Yeah, you can if you strap yourself into the chair and try and play it, it's kind of funny for a bit, you know, if you feel like challenging yourself.
To kind of paraphrase Lionel Richie, ooh, what a feeling, playing piano on the ceiling.
It's going to have its own chicken farm and cows so that you can get milk and eggs whenever you want.
Yeah, it's gonna have a very small airport that you can fly into.
It's going to have an almond farm so that if you don't really like, if you're vegan or you just straight up find drinking milk weird like I do, you can wake up nice and early before the session and milk the almonds.
It's gonna have a gym. It's gonna have a casino. It's gonna have a swimming pool.
It's gonna have a smoking room where you can just sit and chain smoke cigarettes or cigars for a bit and like pretend that like your habit is fancy for one goddamn second.
All cigarettes, we have a selection in that room of like every fucking cigarette and cigar.
Yeah, we've got like cigarettes that we're not supposed to have because we're a cool studio.
It costs £11,000 a day to come to just so we can keep the lights on.
And yes, we're going to have all that, and then to top it all off, we're also going to have a tuck shop selling sweets, and each bag of sweets is going to cost £1, and 50p from every pound gets donated to the fucking Children's Air Ambulance charity.
Children's Air Ambulance. Children's Air Ambulance. Why would you let children run an air ambulance?
No, it's not run by the children. It's kids. They go fucking mountain climbing and they get stuck up on the mountains and they have to send helicopters out to rescue them. And each time they send the helicopters out, it costs like 1,200 quid or whatever.
So hold a bit.
So like, but then they need people like our clientele buying the sweets.
Yeah.
So to keep them helicopters in the air in case one of those kids gets stuck up there.
So they're up there with their parents and they've all got hurt and they're like, sorry, this is a children's air ambulance. You can't. We're not saving you. The regular air ambulance will be along in
well, yeah, that's a separate load of guys, and you know.
Abbey Road funds that one.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Ross, not hate to end this subject, but I want to know, what are you listening to at the moment?
Oh yeah, that's the next thing on our agenda. What am I listening to right now? I have been listening to the new Knocked Loose album, which is called...
Doesn't know the name.
You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To, and it's very, very good. I haven't listened to metal in a long time, and this is very refreshing. I love this album. Favorite song from it would probably be Suffocate featuring Poppy, love Poppy, or probably Don't Reach For Me. Those are both fucking bangers. The whole thing's great. Very tight album as well. It's only 27 minutes long, which is, I mean, I feel like lots of albums, like albums in general are getting a bit shorter. Obviously, not all of them, it's always variable, but it's more acceptable now to have albums on the shorter side, which I think is fine when you have albums like this where it's just no filler whatsoever. It's
all
just
killer.
Yeah, it's just solid metal for a straight 27 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs kind of like bleed into each other in this really nice way. Like it kind of feels like this album. It kind of feels like a few long songs, but yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah.
That's what I've been listening to recently. I've also what have I been listening to? Listening to the new St. Vincent album, All Born Screaming. That's fantastic. I've only listened to it once so far. I ought to spin it again. My brain don't work good no more, so I have to listen to things like a bunch of times before I know if I like it or not.
Oh, I have a rule with myself that I have to listen to an album or a song twice before I make a decision about it, because otherwise it won't register in my head, so I get that.
Yeah. I've been listening to a bunch of MIA recently. I used to listen to MIA when I was like when I was a teenager, and I haven't listened to her for a long old time. Listening to the album Carla and Maya and which other one did I listen to? The one with Bad Girls on it, Matangi. You ever listened to MIA?
No.
She's the one that did Born Free, the one with the music video where all the ginger people get genocided. It was very controversial back in the day.
I've never even heard of that.
It's no, dude. Sorry, that's a horrible explanation of it. Although that is literally what happens. It's a really good music video. It's obviously like about racism. It's an allegory for racism.
Oh, okay.
It's a very good, very controversial music video back in the day. It got banned on YouTube, which I remember thinking was extremely cool. It got banned on YouTube, but like the first day it was uploaded, and then like I remember watching it on like Vimeo or one of those made up websites. So yeah, that's what I've been listening to. What have you been listening to?
I have been listening to the Periphery EP that they did with Mike Dawes, where they did a new version of It Only Smiles from their album Hail Stan, and Scarlet from...
Oh, that was from Periphery too.
That's from Periphery too. Yeah, and that's absolutely amazing. I've been listening to some James Taylor because he is phenomenal. Interval's new album that just came out at the time of this recording, came out like 4 days ago, called Memory Palace, which is absolutely insane and brilliant. Definitely worth checking it out. Incredible guitar playing, bass playing, and drumming. I've also been I'm always listening to a bit of Alter Bridge because they're the greatest of all time for me. And Slash recently released an album called Orgy of the Damned, which is a blues cover album. That's very cool, very new direction for him. Other than that, just been cycling through the regulars, which is Periphery, Normandy, Polyphia, like I said, Alter Bridge, Slash and Miles Kennedy, a little bit of Bad Omens, a little bit of Sleep Token.
Bad Omens are fantastic.
Yeah. A little bit of Mallory Knox because obviously they're getting back together and they were a big band for me growing up.
Nice.
Some While She Sleeps. A little bit of Bon Jovi actually. I rediscovered Slippery When Wet, which was their debut album, which is an absolutely... They get typecast by the hits obviously because they have massive songs, but Slippery When Wet, that whole album is just amazing start to finish. And I think that's about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good selection.
Yeah, I'm listening to quite a span of stuff at the moment. Obviously, it still all revolves quite a lot, obviously, around guitar, but also, songwriting, all of those people, even though obviously that's a huge span of genres, are absolutely incredible songwriters, whether it be, involving lyrics or not. The songs, the compositions.
I'm glad you mentioned Mallory Knox because I haven't thought about Mallory Knox in a long time. Great Cambridge band.
They're coming back. I couldn't be happier. They are awesome.
We covered one of their songs back in the day. We there's no recording of it, but we did.
Thank God, because it wasn't very good.
As
in, not Mallory Knox's song, our cover. We did a cover of Ghost in the Mirror.
That was the one.
Pretty much not too long after Asymmetry came out. It wasn't that long after I saw them on the tour they did for Asymmetry. But yeah, this isn't me calling anyone else that was part of that bad, but I am not a good cover guitar player. I'm very much a writer. I've never been good at learning songs and playing them with any conviction, and yeah, I don't think that cover came off particularly well.
Oh, I've enjoyed playing covers. I've done like a couple of function gigs in my life, and I had to learn a lot of material beforehand, and it's really fun. I mean, I totally get it. I don't spend that much time learning other people's songs, generally speaking.
Did you when you were like coming up learning?
Yeah, that was definitely how I got into it. Like learn your favourite songs at the time.
See, I never did that. I learned parts. Like I'd learn like a run or a riff that I liked. I never learned songs.
I don't know. I guess for me it was like first before I really knew much theory or anything. Not dishing on the songs I'm mentioning here, but like when I got into guitar, the biggest artist I was into at the time was Marilyn Manson. I was what can I say? I was like a 12-year-old boy. I don't know. It was cool to me at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was listening to Marilyn Manson at the time, so I learnt a bunch of Marilyn Manson songs when I was like 12, and then I remember being like 15 and learning a few Tool songs all the way through, and that made me feel right chuffed about myself, being able to play Vicarious.
As a bass player, I think Tool, if you play like progressive music, Tool was a bit of a must.
Yeah, well, yeah, guitar and bass. I learned like Vicarious on guitar and bass.
Oh, that's one thing I have been listening to actually. One thing I forgot, A Perfect Circle. I've been listening to some of that. Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
What songs? What albums?
See,
not that there's many.
no, see, this is the thing. This isn't something that I've necessarily been into, but a friend of mine is really into them, and he's just basically, while we've been at work, he's just been putting them, like, just the whole discography on shuffle, and there's some awesome stuff in there which I now need to go back into their albums and find the actual songs now, which is a bit annoying, but
I mean, he definitely would have played you the song Judith, that's definitely one of their top songs. Judith is and was a phenomenal song. That was one of the first songs that I learned on guitar. Actually, I remember like tuning my guitar down to a C sharp standard. That song is in. Lots of people think it's in drop B, but actually it's not. It's in C sharp standard.
What's the album called? There's now the album that I was like,
Denom.
Yeah, that's the album that I think all of the songs that he played me that I liked. I think that's the album that all the songs were on. So I need to go through that album.
That's a phenomenal album. Their second album, 13th Step, is great. Their third album, Emotive, is like mostly a covers album, and it's not as good, but it does have some very good songs in it. It has 2 original songs in it that are both phenomenal, and some of the covers are pretty cool.
Some Stephen Wilson as well.
Oh, you've been listening to some Stephen Wilson?
Yeah, only big.
Nice.
Not that I wouldn't like it if not, but the only reason I found out about Stephen Wilson was through being a fan of Guthrie Govan, and he played. I don't know if he played on any of the albums he might have done, but I know he was this guitarist on tour for a while, and that's how I became aware of Stephen Wilson.
Yeah,
and his solo stuff, obviously, separately. Porcupine Tree.
Yeah, I listened to a bit of Porcupine Tree when I was learning. It was because my bass teacher. Shout out to Dave, my older bass teacher from secondary school. Hope you're still out there playing bass and all that. Yeah, he basically when I started learning guitar and bass, he was like showing me how should I say, music with a lot of musical substance. Versus me being like, oh, could you teach me how to play fucking Disturbed songs? Can you teach me how to play?
Oh, Disturbed are fucking awesome. They're awesome.
But he was like, listen, you can't spend your whole life learning new metal songs. You gotta fucking listen to the Porcupine Tree.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, seeing as we're doing it, shout out to Dan, who was my guitar teacher. I know he's still doing what he does. He's an awesome guitar player. Plays all sorts, but he very much just fucking shredded, and I was like, oh, teach me to do that, please. He was like, right, this is called a pentatonic scale, this is what a mode is. I was like, oh. I didn't know there was gonna be I thought you were just gonna teach me how to do it like shred. I didn't know that there was stuff behind it, and then thus began the journey.
Yeah, discovering that it's actually not some magical skill bestowed on you by the gods. It's actually like numbers and that.
Yeah, like, hold on a minute, why do these modes have such stupid names?
Yeah, what as if it was fucking Greek people write this?
Yeah, what Phrygian? What is that? Is that bird? we've systematically destroyed every part of our reputation in this podcast.
I don't think it's that bad. We haven't said anything horribly offensive.
Oh no, we haven't said anything offensive, but we've definitely broken down any of the walls into the fact that if anyone ever for any reason thought like we were these serious, like really like, oh, these really cool serious musicians, we've destroyed that. I've talked about how I don't want to breed. You've talked about
Opening a fucking Burger King in the studio.
Yeah, and how you should do small crimes and.
You shouldn't commit crimes, but if you want to like fuck around and find out and like hide in a McDonald's overnight just to see what happens. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty interesting.
One thing I would say definitely don't try and post yourself places, because that can be really dangerous. Because I've heard that people tried, that was a craze at one point, and some people got really hurt. I think people died.
Trying to post themselves.
Yeah,
I don't know,
boxes.
dude. I never believed the ones where they posted themselves. I know the videos you mean, but like
I'm not talking about videos. I'm talking about, I've heard like people. I think this might be true. I heard people like just doing it for like a laugh, no video content, involved, and
right.
Like got into quite some serious either trouble or danger
from trying to post themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that like over the normal weight limit for a parcel? Isn't the limit like 35 kilos? Obviously, you can ship stuff heavier than that.
Yeah, no, they're like they didn't like try and put stuff in an envelope.
Have a box of stuff. You're talking about like a big flight case, right, with a person.
Yeah, they didn't like tape an envelope to their forehead and be like, I'm an electricity bill, please post me.
Yeah, you're not just like cramming you're not just breaking into a post box and like sitting there.
Lecky bill, please post. First class stamp on the end of his knob.
It's a new thing that Eon's doing. They post me places and I have to tell people about the debt that they're in.
Your new bill is £7,000.
Your new bill is a man that won't leave you alone.
It'd probably work.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, after that riveting discussion, I suppose we should probably wrap things up now, because it's getting late and we got to get up early tomorrow to get back to the studio so we can harass Kieran into making noise again.
Yeah, be safe, my friends. Live long and prosper.
Do whatever it is you want to do. Don't let people boss you around unless you're working for them.
Yeah. Go plus ultra.
Don't eat the yellow snow. Brush your teeth
twice a day.
Yeah, twice a day. 3 if you want, but 4 is excessive.
Floss
As well.
Wipe your bottom.
Yeah. If you haven't started doing that yet, definitely get on that right now. Wash your hands afterwards, and
drink lots of water.
And if you see any ducks or swans in the local park, you are not actually allowed to steal them. That is actually illegal, and you could get into a lot of trouble for it. Fucking, what else? What other life advice? What other shit can we say?
Respect women. That is a genuine one.
Do respect women. Respect men. Respect your fellow people.
Yeah.
Of regardless of gender or identity or sexual orientation.
Just be nice to each other.
Be excellent to one another, and if you honestly though, if you can't shred, you're a fucking dork and you don't have any friends.